We're hot. We're live. There we go. Better. I can see a little blurry. Hang on a second. That's a little better. Ha! So, we're live. We're hot. This is an original edition 346 XP that is a bit beat. A bit. Somebody put this chip deflector here, and actually pretty cool, but doesn't really. Anyway, it looks like this has been modified, obviously by the cut, not just the cutout, but I don't know why they did the cutout. You don't need to. Whatever. Doesn't matter. We're gonna get this apart, and yeah. I'm going to put a new edition head on it, so I'm just going to basically tear this thing down. This was a runner. Normally I change out all kinds of stuff like fuel lines and whatnot, but this one looks original and still good, so I may not change that out. Just leave this on there. I don't have my other phone today, so I'll come look at comments in a minute. This is, just so everybody knows, this is a 346 XP original clutch cover. I don't like them. I use them, but I don't like them, and one of the reasons I don't like them is because it doesn't have the better tensioner. So you get a 455 Rancher clutch cover, it's a much better piece, if you can. Hey, Harry. Just getting to start tearing things down here on this 346. Four millimeters. These bolts here. So on a build like this, I'd take notes and make sure that there's not too much missing. One thing I noticed right off the bat was that the crankcase itself is cracked on this underside, so I will need, obviously, a different top cover, but also not just a different top cover, but a new case half. Kind of crappy, but I'm just going to throw that out. Who needs it? I don't. Hey, Dan. Yeah, and this one's already spoken for. It came out of the box, and Van Mill Bob wants it, so okay, let's do it. Check compression. Supposedly it's a runner. So let's check compression and see. There are some people that really like these OE heads. So this is a 42 millimeter head, I think. That's busted. We'll need a new piece there, but compression's at 0. Let's see what we get. That's 150, 145, 150. So yeah, that's a runner. So the head's good. I am going to sell the head because I don't need it. I anybody wants an original edition head. I don't know exactly what they go for, but I know that they're not cheap. I know some guys like to get into certain classes for racing. This is the head. A couple of shorties in the bottom here. Just gonna rip this thing apart as fast as possible. That's a pretty cool idea. It looks like just a piece of rubber that somebody cut and bent over, a couple of washers. I think I'll keep it. Lucky guy, I got a really nice 353 getting 346 top end. So it's essentially 346, Dan. Yeah. I have a brand new new edition top end on order from HL Supply. Ordered it this morning. Have a steel 32 where the oil seal is leaking on the outside of the inner race. Where the oil seal is leaking on the outside of the inner race. It sounds like something's worn there, Harry. Harry, can you send me a photo of that? Hey, Bob. Harry, send me a photo where the oil seal is sealing on the outside of the inner airtight on the crank. How do I get the bearing airtight on the crank? I have a question. Oil seal is sealing on the outside of the inner race. How do I get the bearing airtight on the crank? And Harry, I don't know exactly what you're asking. Because the bearings press fit onto the crank. Right? Sitting at the welding shop. No note says went for parts. Hey, Jonathan. So yeah, the bearing itself slips over. Hang on. So the bearing itself, the inner race, is press fit onto the crank. So that's automatically airtight. But if it's one of the usual steel seals on the PTO side, the metal part goes up against the outer race. The rubber goes up against the crank, if I remember right. So then you don't need anything else airtight. What's the issue with that specifically? So somebody put a 359 carburetor setup on here. I don't know why that top cover was funkied up, but yeah, one issue I've had, if you watch this, if you press down on there, the throttle catches. And what can happen is the throttle catches at the base there, and so there's a few ways to fix that. One, hollow out the top cover, which is kind of dumb, but the second way is to grind on the throttle I don't know, lever, trigger. I'll show you in a minute. Or you can grind on the base plate, and so it actually has room to move. So when you press down, the throttle should not stick. You should not have any trouble sticking. Okay, so let's pull the electronic stuff off and out. It's a little loosey-goosey. We can tighten that up a little bit. gas line. I may keep that. Probably keep that, Bob. Okay, there's a little spring here on the carburetor that just comes out and up. And bring the carburetor throttle forward. And then the actual throttle wire here should just move out of the way. And some of these come off and some of them don't. Yeah, it looks to me like this was not properly modified. Oh man, we are lucky. There is not a there's no metal clamp here. In fact, this one's broken. So this is lucky that it's not scored. We're gonna chalk that up to luck. Not anything else. There's a lot of little modifications that really need to be done to this to get this to fit right. And one of them is grinding this area out so that this plastic part fits. That was not tight. That was not tight either. And they don't need to be really tight, but you gotta be tighter than that. What kind of carb is this? 199. Jackpot there. So there's a nice carburetor. Yeah, that's ground off, which is not surprising. Probably need a new impulse line, but maybe not. So it's the little stuff on these, and you know, when you're modifying things, you gotta pay attention to little stuff. I'm not saying that I get it right all the time. It's just that I've noticed that there's a lot of little stuff that tends to get overlooked. Put this bolt back here. This is not a case bolt. Fine muffler, gotta open it up, but other than that, it'll be fine. The 346 was posted last night here close to Hammond. Great clutch cover. That's the new one. Yeah. Yeah, it's legit. That's the newer edition. Some people like them, the gray covers. Some people don't. I get rid of them and use the 455 Rancher clutch cover. We'll get that cleaned up. Looks like a new plug. We'll keep that. If anybody has a line on a case half here, that would be great. Of course, I don't have my stuff out in the shed here. Whatever. It's cold outside today. I've got to split this and get that damaged case half out of there, and I might as well throw in a brand new set of bearings and seals and whatnot while we're at it. So some of this stuff is in pretty nice shape. Not much to do. That's always nice. Then you have stuff like this. Yeah, just solder it. I mean, how hard is that? I know. It's work. Why would you do work? I know. If you don't have to, why would you do work? I get it. I do. Crap driving me nuts. You know, because these screws are kind of funky. Yeah, these coil screws are a little funny. So I'm going to put them back right here so they don't get lost. They're like sort of coarse thread. Why they did that, I'll never know. My guess would be just to keep things unique around the saw. Let's get rid of the air jet. Should just made them M5. Ooh. Gonna get ready to bounce off here a second. See, yeah. Hey, Jade. How you doing? Yeah, Jonathan, be real careful about paying too much for stuff. I want everybody to get that. Some stuff is just not worth it. So this is the part that was cracked on the other side, the limiter bolt. Let's get the flywheel off here. Now, unfortunately, on this flywheel, I can't use a puller. Because there's nothing to grab to. These are just studs there. I'm just going to use a regular M8 nut here. Yeah, just getting started. I'll have the piston in my hand in a minute. If anybody wants the original edition top end to this, let me know. I will sell it. Get that cleaned up. Let's get the clutch off while I still have that going. Get my piston stop here. I'm going to go clockwise with this. Finally, look. Clutch looks fine. That rim's a 3/8/7. Bob, we're going to get you set up with a 325 setup here. I ordered a 16-inch bar for this, which you will like. Promise. 16-inch Sujihara. I'll throw a loop of chain on it, and it'll be good. because it really is like the bar to have on this saw, in my very humble opinion. Ooh. Goopy goo here. Somebody tried to glue that back together. Yeah, it's not happening. All right. And this shield here is a little worse for wear. I think we're going to need a new one of that. Again, guys, I don't have my other phone right now, so I can't see comments, but I'll check the comments here in a minute. And a chain catcher. And I did not, unfortunately, I did not get, I've actually got a few pieces of mail that are lost kind of in the shuffle. So I'm waiting on that. So I need a new one of these. New chain catcher would be good too. I really got to pull all this stuff off of here because this case half is going to go goodbye-bye because it's cracked back here. Anything and everything that can come off this case half will. These studs I can tap back in. Guess I can tap them in now. Save the studs. Oh good, shipped with oil. That's great. I'm sure UPS loves that. More AV bolt over here. We'll have tank off. definitely will clean that up, and we gotta get a new throttle piece. I forget how these come out. I think I even have new, but I don't remember how they come out. It pops. I think it pops out. At the risk of breaking. Click. I think you have to squeeze these two sides here. There we go. The pile I gotta get. Parts I gotta get. Piece of cake, though. Yep. We'll have that cleaned up and ready to rock in no time. I'm hungry. Oiler out. This one's a little different from the 350 as it has a dip tube that attaches there. There's a lot of intact parts on this though, which is really nice. Makes life a lot easier. Pull the head off. I think these are coarse thread bolts, which is again weird, but I'll get to it in a minute. Okay, 3 are off. That's in the center of the bolt. Okay. So I'm using my speed outs. Easy out. I just need to drive the darn thing somehow. There's something that'll fit down in there, and that may not. sometimes you can fit a torque set in these things, right? Ooh. I have to use the bolt remover. Let's see. That's nice. Put a T27 torques in. Oh, that's why, because somebody did put a T27 torques in there. Jerks. Okay. Now watch this. See how loose that is? That is an air leak waiting to happen. Nice head, though. Somebody's done a little bit of grinding. Likely just to clean up carbon. All looks smooth. Pretty nice. No work to the ports. Just somebody cleaned up the carbon there. Anybody want it? OE head and piston. Piston looks good. Comments here. Peanut butter and pickles, yes. Hey, Marshall. No snow here. Dan, yeah. 16 and 325, 66 drive link. Can your tools be used for press fitting bearing? No. Yes and no. I'll show you. My tools pull a crank through a bearing. So essentially, yes, that is a press fit. But they don't install the bearing in the crankcase, if that's what you're thinking of. So you have to get the bearings installed first, and I've showed that a zillion times, how to do that. And we'll, I'm going to show that again, obviously. Does anybody want a 42 millimeter original edition head here? I don't think it's going to be cheap because these are not easy to find. But this one's in nice shape through sheer luck. Yep. Probably just throw a new ring in that and go for it. Steal this off of there too. Oh golly, come on. Yeah, Barry, this is an OE 42 millimeter top end. If anybody wants it, let's call that. This is $100 shipped. Anybody? If you can get it cheaper, go for it. But this one's in nice shape. Probably needs a new piston, and away you go. Or not a new piston, a new ring. Right, let's take the base out of here, because if you try to split this, it ain't happening. Now I forget. Oh, those are really odd screws. I forget whether or not the case splitter is going to work for this thing. I don't know. I don't know how they pull this thing out of here. That's stupid. Dumb. Why would they design it like that? Okay. The last thing I got to get out of here is this screw and that before I throw out the case half. But yeah, just to show the damage, it's right here. So that's unfortunate. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. I forget, because I don't do a lot of 346s. I forget whether or not this will be an impossibility to split with the usual case splitter. It is windy today. Yeah, it's big. Too big for a 346. So the next way to do it, in this case, is with heat. Which I'd rather not do, but that's what we gotta do. Let me give it a quick wash, and then we'll hit it with the heat. Let that darn stud come out. Whatever. Quick wash, hit with heat. Hang on. So unfortunately, when you hit it with heat, the bearings are retained on the crank usually. I hate splitting cases like this. It's much easier to use a splitter, but once the crank's out, then I got to use my bearing puller tool to pull it off the crank. It's not the end of the world, but it's a little bit of extra work in this case. See ya, Harry. Hey, Darren. Will my homemade puller not help? And Barry, it's 44.3, just so you know. No, I'm not putting the OE back on. It doesn't have a decomp. If you're racing, you want to get into a particular saw class, this is the head to have. But can't have the 2.6. Yes, the 262 XP, we could tear it apart, yeah. See you, Jonathan. Don't pay too much for that saw. Yeah, if anybody wants the original head, $100 shipped. I'll put it aside. Yeah, if you're going to run this, I like a fresh new OEM head. I think Bob's going to agree with me on that. Let's get stuff out of the way here for just a second, and then we'll hit this with some heat. So you got to heat the case half up. Got my thermometer here too. And remember, saws are used to heat, you know? That's kind of the idea. But after you do this, you really think you want to use that the crank seal again? Probably not. Because there's still moisture there. Probably not that hot. 220, 230, 235, still not that hot. Need it hotter than that. I need to hit it with a rubber hammer. Right there, almost. and this is the junk side. So going back together is going to be a lot easier once this is cleaned up. So this goes down here, away from anything and everything. Now we do the other side. Who's excited? You really need it like 300 degrees, and then it'll move. Ta-da. See, now the problem is you got to pull those dang bearings off of there. That's a certified pain in the neck. But I can clean this side up now. Who wants to reuse that seal? Nobody? Good. Okay. Alright. Time for lunch. Time for a break. I'll get this cleaned up. One of these days I'll get this set up to pull those bearings off and show you guys how I do that. Need a heat gun. I had one, but you know. You need 300 degrees. You need it hot. A heat gun, you'd have to let it sit there for a while. That's a little faster. Maybe a little more dangerous, but a little faster. All right, let's turn the gas off just to make sure. Okay, so we're off. I'm hungry. It's time for lunch. And there's the crank. So regular 6202 here. That is the proprietary one on the other side. Which is a bit of a pain in the neck. Really, I could put two proprietary ones without much modification, but doesn't matter. Yeah, just a thought. So I'm gonna get a little cleaned up here, have some lunch. Maybe I'll be back later. We'll see. I got lots of stuff to do, and it's kind of chilly outside. It's windy. It's chilly. It's sunny, but I'd love to get stuff done outside, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. So there's certainly a few things to get, but not tons of parts that I need, which is great. I need more. Keep needing more pucks for the dang vents. Whatever. Questions, comments, anything else, guys? Again, if anybody wants a cylinder head and piston, let me know. Those are not exactly common to find nice ones. So, I will talk to you guys some other day, okay? Thanks so much for watching. Do appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll see you soon.